Victor Klein sent us.
Victor Klein's. This ends now.
You know, I never thought my quiet little corner of the world would turn into some kind of thriller movie plot. But here we are, Mike Harlan, just a guy who used to train folks in self-defense back in the day, now trying to live out my days on this old patch of land my grandpa handed down to me in Willow Creek, way out in rural Tennessee. It was supposed to be peaceful, you know, with the long gravel driveway winding through those overgrown meadows. The kind of place where the biggest drama is watching the deer graze at dusk, but then the HOA from the fancy new subdivision next door decided we didn't fit their picture-perfect vibe, and man, did things escalate fast. It started with these three rough-looking dudes on motorcycles roaring up to scare my wife, Emily, sent by the HOA queen bee herself, Barbara Klein, claiming we had to pack up and leave, or else. But 3 minutes later, those tough guys were on their knees begging me to stop. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about some silly fence violation. It was something way deeper, something that would drag us into a fight for everything we held dear. Let me take you back to how it all kicked off, because looking back, it feels like one of those stories you tell around a campfire, half laughing, half shaking your head at how crazy life can get. Emily and I had been out here for years, fixing up the old farmhouse. Her tending to her vegetable garden. She's got this green thumb that turns everything she touches into a mini paradise, and me tinkering in the shed with whatever rusty tools I could find. We'd heard whispers about the Willow Creek Estates HOA, how they ruled over those cookie-cutter houses with an iron fist, but our land was technically outside their bubble, or so we thought. Turns out some shady legal twist from way back lumped us in, and Barbara Klein, this self-appointed guardian of neighborhood perfection, had been sending us these nitpicky notices for months. Your barn's paint is non-compliant, or that old pickup truck lowers property values. Petty stuff, right? But Emily, she's the steady one, former nurse who's seen it all in the ER. She just filed them away with a shrug, saying, "Mike, they're just bored busybodies, ignore him, and they'll move on." But deep down, I could feel this nagging itch, like there was more to it, especially since Barbara's husband, Victor Klein, this quiet ex-corporate type, always lurked in the background at those town meetings, smiling like he knew something we didn't. Then came that afternoon. I'll never forget the rumble, low and mean, vibrating through the ground like thunder rolling in. I was out in the barn, wiping down an old chainsaw, the kind of mindless work that clears your head after a long day, when I heard it. Engines, big ones, not some friendly neighbor dropping by. Emily was in the garden, kneeling with her trowel, humming some old tune, and her head snapped up. I saw the flicker of surprise in her eyes, but she didn't panic. No, that's not her style. 3 bikes pulled up in a swirl of dust right by the porch, these guys in worn leather jackets. No patches or anything flashy, just hired muscle with that hard-edged stare. The leader, this burly fellow with a scraggly beard that looked like it'd scratch paint off a car, swung off his Harley, helmet thumping on the seat, and pointed right at Emily. "You folks don't belong here," he growled, voice like gravel crunching under boots. "HOA says you're in violation. Follow the rules, or you're out in a week." Emily stood up slow, brushing dirt from her hands, her phone already in her pocket recording, because she's smart like that. After what we'd been through before, losing a baby we never talked about much, she protected what was hers fiercely, even if it was just with evidence. "We're current on everything," she said, calm as a summer pond, but I could see the tension in her jaw, the way she gripped that trowel like it could be a shield. The guy laughed, ugly and mocking. "Barbara Klein says different, and that's what counts. She sent us to make it clear. 1 week, or we come back and help you pack." He stepped onto the porch then, reaching out like he owned the place. Big mistake. I was already moving, silent across the grass, my old training kicking in like muscle memory. No rush, just efficient, closing the gap before he even noticed. He turned at the last second, eyes bulging, but it was too late. I grabbed his wrist mid-reach, twisted sharp crack, that sickening pop of bone giving way, and he let out this high-pitched yelp that didn't match his tough guy build at all. Spun him into the railing, with splintering like kindling, and down he went into the dirt, clutching his arm, whimpering. His buddy on the bike fumbled for something in his jacket, probably a piece, thinking he was quick, but I was on him before he could draw. A solid kick to the knee, folding it wrong, him howling as he toppled with his ride, fuel leaking everywhere. The third one at the gate revved and bolted, tail between his legs. Whole thing, 3 minutes flat, like the camera showed later. The big one gasped up at me from the ground. "Please, man, stop, we're done." His tough act shattered, sweat beading on his forehead. I knelt close, voice low and steady. "Who really sent you?" "Barbara's all bark, no bite. She doesn't hire goons like this." He winced as I pressed just enough on a pressure point, not cruel, just persuasive. "Victor," he muttered, eyes darting like he'd said too much. Victor Klein, her husband. And just like that, the puzzle shifted. This wasn't about lawns or paint jobs. It was personal, tied to Victor's shady past and land deals. And I felt this cold resolve settle into our home. Our peace, it was under siege, and I wasn't about to let some corporate ghost steal it away. From there, it was like peeling back layers of an onion, each one stinging a bit more, revealing how deep this rot went. Emily and I sat at the kitchen table that night, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the worn wood. She with her laptop, digging into records like the pro she is, me nursing a coffee, mind racing through what-ifs. "Victor's ex-VP at TerraTech," she said, scrolling through old articles, left under a cloud, something about aggressive acquisitions, buying up land cheap from mining ops. Turns out he drafted the HOA charter himself, slipping in clauses that gave them leverage over adjacent properties, like ours, a loophole designed to squeeze folks out. The violations? A slow burn to rack up fines, force a sale, with the HOA getting first dibs. Classic land grab, disguised as community standards. But why us? Our 100 acres weren't prime real estate on the surface, just fields, a creek babbling through the back, trees whispering secrets. But Emily pulled up maps, old surveys hinting at lithium deposits below, the kind that's gold for batteries these days, worth millions if you could extract it quiet like. Grandpa never knew, he just farmed the dirt. But Victor? He'd sniffed it out, probably from his old job contacts, and now he was using Barbara as his loudmouth shield while he pulled strings in the shadows. I remember leaning back, staring at the ceiling cracks that looked like lightning bolts, feeling this mix of anger and protectiveness surge up. Emily had been through enough. Losing the baby had hollowed us out for a while, and this land was our healing ground. No way was I letting some greedy suit rip it away. We started fighting smart, not just fists, though I'd use those if needed. Checked our cameras first, spotting these shadowy figures weeks back, sneaking along the fence with gear that screamed survey. Ground-penetrating radar, magnetometers, marking spots like they were claiming buried treasure. Emily backed it all up, copies everywhere. She's paranoid in the best way, mailing one to her brother out west. I dusted off my old drone, the heavy-duty kind from my training days, launched it at dawn, thermal cam picking up faint lines in the woods, an old access trail leading to a rusted hatch buried deep. Dug it up, crowbar groaning against the metal, and down I went, cool air hitting my face, flashlight beam revealing an empty storage tank, big enough for fuel or whatever, but it was the marker for what lay beneath. Lithium veins, confirmed by old geological whispers Emily unearthed online. Victor wanted it bad, enough to escalate from letters to thugs. His impatience showing greed does that. Makes smart men sloppy. We baited him then, playing broken. I tore down that old shed he'd cited, making a show of it, shirt off, hammer swinging, knowing his spies would report back. Sure enough, Barbara's car crept by, her glaring from the window. I waved cheerful, like, hey neighbor, and she peeled out, fuming. Emily drafted this letter, all meek and compliant. We just want peace. Hope this ends it. Sent certified, proof in hand. Victor showed up 2 days later, solo, plate of cookies like some twisted olive branch. My wife bakes when she's pleased, he said, voice smooth as oil, sitting at our table, eyes scanning the room like he was appraising it already. Appreciate you complying. My legal stuff piles up quick. Hate to see good folks drown in it. I played along, voice weary. Yeah, it's been tough. We don't want trouble. He leaned in, conspiratorial. Barbara is intense, but she means well. Look, this land's a burden. Ever think of selling? I know developers who'd pay fair, solve everything. There it was, the hook, his mask slipping just a hair, greed glinting in his eyes. Talk to Emily, I said, faking hesitation, while the hidden cam rolled every word. He left smug, threat veiled. Beautiful spot, shame if it got tangled in courts. But we had him on tape, his intent crystal, and that night, as Emily and I huddled in the dim light, planning our next move, I felt this quiet fire. This wasn't just defense, it was turning the tables, making him pay for underestimating us. Things ramped up quick after that, like a storm you see coming but can't outrun. We knew he'd try again. Harder bikers were a test run, failed spectacularly, so he'd go pro. Emily turned our basement into mission control, screens flickering with camera feeds, maps pinned up, her voice steady over the comms we'd rigged. He'll hit physical, she said, eyes fierce after the miscarriage. She'd thrown herself into preparedness, turning pain into purpose. I hardened the place, reinforced doors, tripwires pinging silent alarms, those steel shutters she designed from stormproof docks, dropping like guillotines. Perimeter walks became ritual, every tree a potential cover. Every shadow a threat. This land was my battlefield now. Personal, for Emily, for the life we'd scraped back together. Dinner that night was quiet, her hand in mine, no words needed. We knew what loomed. It hit at 1:17 a.m., moon sliver thin, perfect for shadows. First wire tripped, Emily's voice in my ear. West side, for figures, geared heavy. Night vision showed them, black-clad, moving tactical, bags slung, not talkers, doers. They cut the power, house going dark, but our Jenny hummed to life, red lights glowing like embers. They're splitting two front, two back, she whispered. Steel plates slammed down, thudding final, trapping them out. Front pair rammed the door clang, useless against metal. I slipped out back, silent as breath, on the two prying the window, their backs turned, overconfident. First went down quiet, chokehold dropping him soft. Second spun, elbow grazing my side. But I countered hard, strike to the neck folding him. Pain flared, but adrenaline pushed. These were invaders, threatening my world. Circled front, divided them. One knelt by the bushes, scouting eye, came from shadow. Radio clattering as he slumped. Last one on the porch, radio crackling unanswered. Team, report, damn it. Gun out, suppressed, stakes high now. I lured him in, plate lifting just enough, stepped inside. Panic firing wild, flashes lighting his fear. Emptied his clip, I waited in shadow. Who's there? Voice cracking. Stepped into the red glow. The homeowner. He trembled, gun shaking empty. Victor'll kill you for this. Boom, confession, recorded clean. Victor Klein sent you? Yes, let me go, please. Locked him below, Emily calling sheriff. Her patching their wounds like the nurse she was, even as they groaned in defeat. But then, this kid Alex from next door burst in, breathless, thumb drive clutched. Mr. Harlan, I hacked their server. Found it all. Forgeries, shell company to snag your land for $1, emails plotting it. 16, pale from screens, but eyes alive hated Barbara's tyranny, her finding his dad's ramp, so he dug, found the jackpot syncing with our audio. Kid was a hero, handing us the smoking gun. The quiet week after felt like the eye of the Hurricane Victor and Barbara holed up, no notices, thinking their team ghosted. But we built our case. Videos, audio, attacker statements, Alex's files airtight, sheriff warrants ready. Annual HOA meet was their big show, Barbara's throne room in the clubhouse, packed with cowed neighbors. She strutted up, slideshow blasting our defiance. The Harlans drag us down motion to seize and sell. Cronies clapped, but murmurs rippled. Folks were tired of her reign. I stood, got a story for you. Click the remote night footage rolled. Surveyors, drone scans, Victor's cookie chat offering the buyout. Then the assault audio. Victor'll pay Victor Klein sent us. Room froze. Then exploded slides showed embezzled funds. Forged surveys claiming our land unstable. Shell deal for pennies. That's our dues, someone yelled. Barbara gaped. I didn't know. But Victor sat stone-faced, cracking as sheriff stormed in. Arrest for conspiracy, fraud, assault. Cuffs clicked, them led out Barbara sobbing. Victor defeated, crowd parting silent. Justice, raw and real. Aftermath hit Hard County confirmed lithium. Big firm offered millions, suits flashing charts. Life-changing, Mike. But I looked at Emily, her hand on her belly pregnant now. Our miracle after Lawson said. Nah, life's good, land stays. Built a vet's haven instead, grant-funded, cabins rising, old tank a cellar for gardens, trail a path for healing. Victor got 18 years, Greed's cage. Barbara probation, banned from power worse than prison for her. New HOA apologized, scholarship for Alexi's out more now, helping our tech. Evenings on the porch, vets laughing by the creek, Emily's head on my shoulder. We built better, Mike. Gate stands strong, Harlan healing grounds, private forever. But here's the thing that still nags at me: was I too far in the takedowns, playing judge on my turf, or was it justified when law's slow and threats hit home? Makes you wonder about lines we cross for what's ours. What do you think? Ever dealt with HOA hell, or pushed back hard on bullies? Drop a comment, share your take on justice, right and wrong in tight communities. Love hearing your stories, might pin the wildest. Hit like if this resonated, subscribe for more real talk tales. Thanks for listening, folks.